Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, Living in Atlanta, Georgia. My name is Krista Kaur-Powell and I'm a realtor here in the state of Georgia, based in Atlanta and serving the greater Atlanta metro area. And I wanted to talk to you today about the process of buying a home in the state of Georgia, specifically in Atlanta. And one of the big parts of that obviously is paying for the property. And I know that mortgages can really be like a scary or overwhelming idea, and there's so many options out there. So I'm gonna talk about my top 6. This is not an exhaustive list by any means, but it's a nice primer and introduction to some of the more commonly used options that you can consider. And also when you start looking at these, maybe you'll find avenues for other options. So here are my top 6. All right, so number 1, we're gonna start out with one that if you've ever purchased a home before, you may have used this before, and it's the good old FHA. This is a federally insured program that is often catering towards first-time homebuyers, but is not specific to first-time homebuyers. So you want to keep that in mind. The idea is that it really is suitable for somebody who maybe doesn't have as much money to put down and who maybe has some challenges with their credit. So it allows a bit more flexibility with credit score. And it also allows a little more flexibility in terms of down payment. You're usually looking at least 3.5%, and that's gonna come with something called private mortgage insurance that will live with the loan for the life of the loan as long as it's an FHA loan. Meaning, if you refinance into another loan product, then maybe, or maybe not, depending on what your down payment turns into, you may not have that private mortgage insurance. But it's a great way to get into a home if the credit is not as wonderful as we'd like for it to be. Very popular program offered by pretty much any mortgage broker that you're gonna talk to. And what's really nice about it is just the ability to also know that not every home is an FHA appropriate home. So it also means that there's certain standards. You're not gonna buy like a fixer-upper with the roof caving in with this kind of a loan. What you're gonna be purchasing is something that is a lot more move-in ready. So very popular option, definitely worked with lots of buyers who've used this, and it's a great choice. And as I pointed out before, it's not just for the first time you own a home or purchase a home rather, it's gonna be for, you can have an FHA loan at any point in time, but you can only ever have one. And it does require at a minimum that you live in the home for that first year. So just an idea of what an FHA loan is. Now, number 2, this one is our tried and true conventional loan. So conventional can come in one of 2 types. You'll have fixed and you'll have adjustable rate. So fixed rate means that you're paying the same interest rate the entire life of the loan, be it 15 years, 30 years, 5 years, whatever that is. Now, that is pretty standard, and generally speaking, the down payment for that is gonna range anywhere from 5 to 20%. Really depends on the program that you're using. There are lots of banks right now that are doing 0% down for a conventional loan to sort of balance out the fact that interest rates are kind of back to historical normal averages. And so to counter the slightly higher interest rates after coming out of a period where people were, getting homes at 2 and 3% interest rates, since we're back in that 7-ish percentage place where we may be living until that changes. I don't know when that's going to change. You don't know when it's going to change. So banks are offering a nice option to help balance out some of that cost, which is a 0% down conventional loan. So generally speaking, the credit requirements are a little bit higher than they would be for, say, an FHA. So that's something to keep in mind. And if you have any questions about credit stuff, I am not a credit fixer, but I can definitely point you in the direction of different services and products that may be useful to you. In addition to that, now we can talk about the adjustable rate, right? So adjustable rate means just that. The rate is gonna adjust over time. And that can vary in a lot of ways. It can be that maybe you have a fixed rate for the first 5 years, let's just say. And then after that, the rate will adjust based on certain market conditions. All of this obviously is gonna be described and outlined when you begin that loan. And your loan officer will talk to you about the terms of that adjustable rate mortgage. So think of the adjustable rate mortgage as like the build-a-mortgage, because it's a mortgage that you can maybe build to work with what your current needs are. So a lot of flexibility under that conventional umbrella if you go fixed or if you go adjustable rate. Fixed is sort of that tried and true. When people think they have to put 20% down, that's generally what they're thinking about. But know that even under that conventional umbrella, there's a lot of flexibility. Okay, Cool, so that's 2. Number 3, the third option that we want to think about that people don't often think about, like aren't given it the attention and love it deserves, is a USDA mortgage. These are amazing because all that this means is it's a loan for buying property in what is considered a rural area by the USDA. And before you think you're gonna have to buy a house out in the country and you're gonna have to drive 2.5 hours to the nearest Target or Walmart, no. A lot of Atlanta suburbs are actually considered rural based on USDA requirements. And listen, I'm not even gonna pretend like I understand that algorithm because I don't. But what I can tell you is that do not assume that your suburb, or as we'd say in Atlanta, your outside of the perimeter area or town does not fall under that requirement. So if you are looking for something, again, technically Atlanta Metro, but maybe a little bit further away, it could very much fall under that USDA umbrella. And you're looking at lower down payments, lower interest rates, a really nice flexible program that, again, is very commonly used by a lot of mortgage brokers. So that's a really, really nice option as well. So that's option number 3. Okay, option number 4 is going to be what we call a VA loan. So Veterans Administration offers loans to veterans and active duty service members. Thanks for your service, guys. This is a really, really nice program tailored to a very specific market. And what it allows for is reduced costs in terms of entry into the loan and entry into a mortgage in general, allowing you to have a lot more ability to purchase a home when you need to. And so this is a really, really great program and a great way of saying thank you to those who have offered their service to our country. Really, really nice program. Not every single mortgage broker works with this one because there is a little bit of training understanding about the specific rules that align with this one. But a VA loan is a great bet. So if you are a veteran or active duty service member, remember that you have this option. It's a really, really good one for you. Okay, next up is something that's a little more location specific, and this is down payment assistance programs. I'm putting this under the heading of a mortgage type because it is dealing with a bank and there is a certain amount of verification and validation that does have to happen for the person. For example, I've worked with buyers who are using down payment assistance programs that have certain income limits. So you can't earn more than a certain amount of money. There are also programs like that that have to do with your occupation. So if you're a first responder or a healthcare worker or a teacher, there are programs for you as well. And these can vary from county to county, city to city, state to state. There's a huge amount of variety there. I definitely have some familiarity with programs that are available in the greater Atlanta area, and I'm more than happy to point in the direction of mortgage brokers who work with different ones. That is my job really as a realtor, to make sure that you are aligned with the right providers and getting the right information so we can successfully get you into the home that you want to be in. So really, really nice down payment assistance programs should not be ignored. And I think sometimes people assume it's going to be like a crazy amount of paperwork. Some of them honestly probably are. Some of them are going to require maybe a class for you to take, but usually those classes have to do with financial management, which is never something you can stop learning about, right? We can always learn a little bit more about that. We can always do a little bit better. And obviously the goal is to keep you in the home. So they don't want you to end up in foreclosure or having other issues with maintaining your home. They want you to be a successful homeowner. So if you got to take a class, it's not really a bad idea and probably worth it for you just for long-term success. Big fan of those, especially as they oftentimes are targeting lower income communities to aid them in the goal of getting into the property ladder, which means long-term, you're a homeowner. It's one of the one of the best ways to build wealth long-term in the United States. And so I'm a big advocate, big fan of them. So any questions, let me know. Happy to help there. So we have talked about what we talked about so far. We have discussed USDA, we've talked about VA, we've talked about FHA, we've talked about conventional. All right, so now we got to talk about my personal favorite, which I should probably leave for last. I will leave it for last. We're going to talk about my second favorite, and then my favorite will leave for last. Number 5, assumable mortgages. This is something that's actually been around for a really long time. And I think people haven't really thought about it, but now that we're dealing with sort of this difference where a couple years ago, people were purchasing homes, for 2-3%. interest rates, and now we're, sitting for a little while now, we've been sitting in the 6s and 7s. That's a massive difference, right? So what if I have a home and I need to sell my house because maybe I want to move somewhere, or I need to move somewhere, got a new job somewhere, I got to get out of this house. And I purchased this home at one of those much, much lower interest rates, 2 and 3%. What am I supposed to do? It is possible for me to advertise if it's allowed by my mortgage, and you do have to look at the paperwork related to your mortgage to know if it's assumable or not. But you can, if your mortgage is assumable, there's some paperwork, some stuff involved, as there always is, but it does mean that you can literally have someone take over your mortgage. It means I have a house I need to sell, and I've got this really, really sexy 2.5% interest rate. I want to purchase a home, and I want that this house that's for sale works for me. It is in the area that I want to be in. It has the different amenities and modern conveniences that I want, all the stuff. It's a great house for what I'm looking for. And my seller is the kind of mortgage they have is an assumable mortgage. That means that this person, the buyer, can take over my mortgage. Literally, it goes into their name, and I'm free and clear. They've taken over the mortgage. And so there are different ways that works, and we can do a whole other video about that. And I think that I probably will. I'll actually interview a mortgage broker and get them to talk to us a little bit about assumable mortgages, because I think you guys would really like that information. But what's cool about this assumable mortgage is, me as the buyer now, guess what I got? A 2.5 interest rate. Yeah. So, guys, how awesome is that? That is so, so cool that you can have this really low interest rate. So that can be very attractive for the right property. There's definitely details and things to be worked out. A little bit more negotiation is required. And again, this is why it's good to work with a realtor, because a real estate agent or a realtor will be able to assist you and ask the right questions and know who to talk to help you manage and navigate that process, so that you will have a really good interest rate and a smoother pathway to closing. So, big fan of assumables. We'll definitely do some more investigation, I think, into that one. And number 6, my personal favorite, new construction home loans. Listen, I'm a new construction girl. I love new construction. You're gonna see videos of me touring new construction. I like to get to know the agents on site. And as your new construction agent, I do the fun job of reading the 65-page contracts. But we'll talk about that later. What's cool about new construction are the buyer incentives. There are things like interest rate buy downs that are available depending on the builder. There are amenities like you could buy down the price. Like, I've worked with a builder recently that has, wait for it, a $50,000 incentive package. There are rules around it. Of course, there's no such thing as free money. A part of it does go towards your closing costs, but you can use the other portion of it to do things like buy down an interest rate. You can do it to maybe get some upgrades in a home, depending on the builder you're working with. There's a lot of flexibility right now where you can get into a brand new home smell, all new amenities, all the cool tech that's possible with a new construction home for maybe a 5% interest rate. There's a lot of really cool stuff out here right now in terms of the flexibility around new construction, which is part of why I'm a fan of new construction. And who doesn't like walking into a beautiful new home that you're the first one to live there? The very first one. I think this is so very cool. So for all these reasons, I'm a massive fan of a new construction loan and the flexibility that is there. That's why they're my favorite. But all 6 are working, and all 6 can work for the right person. I really happy that you guys stayed through to end my video. Thank you so much. Remember, if you're working with a real estate agent, they can help you navigate these options. If you have any questions, or if there's anything that you want to see, put it down in the comments, please. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you very soon. Thank you.